Sheehy.com.
Tonight, President Trump stuns the world here in Helsinki. The historic summit with Vladimir Putin, and the moment the president appears to side with Putin over America's own intelligence community. The president and Putin 2 hours together, alone behind closed doors, only their translators. And tonight, the president, with the world watching, is asked who he believes more, Russia or his own intelligence team. And Vladimir Putin is squarely asked, does he have compromising information on the president? The immediate outrage back home tonight from Republicans, Democrats, the intelligence community. Some of the words being used, treasonous, shameful, disgraceful. And what the president has just tweeted, and how the White House is now responding tonight. The other news this Monday evening, what's called a lava bomb, an explosion burning through the roof of a tour boat off Hawaii. Nearly 24 tourists injured, the pictures coming in. The deadly wildfire doubling in size near one of America's most treasured parks. A firefighter killed, park visitors now being warned. And in the east tonight, the storms we're watching right now. The moment at CVS under the microscope. The black customer, her coupon, and the worker then calling 911. And what we've just learned. And not ready for prime time, Amazon Prime Day, and the website crashing.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, reporting tonight from Helsinki, Finland.
And good evening tonight from Helsinki, where today history was made. The reverberations were immediate. President Trump and his summit with Vladimir Putin, and while on the world stage with Putin standing right beside him, President Trump was asked, who do you believe more, Russia or your own U.S. intelligence officials? And it was how the president answered that question that sent shockwaves around the world. The president clearly appearing to choose Putin. The question came after their face-to-face meeting just days after the U.S. indicted 12 Russian intelligence officials by name for systematically targeting hundreds of Americans working with the DNC or with Hillary Clinton's campaign. The president and Putin just themselves meeting for 2 hours, longer than expected. Only their translators were right there in the room with them. Tonight, what did they discuss, and what Vladimir Putin was asked as well? Does he have compromising material on President Trump? ABC's Terry Moran leading us off tonight right here in Helsinki.
The summit, like no other, began like this. The two leaders approaching across a room, shaking hands, then photos, and President Trump smiles. Putin does not. As they began their one-on-one meeting, both seemed solemn at first, even a tad nervous. Then Putin leaning back at ease. The president spoke.
It's great to be with you.
And then they were alone for more than 2 hours. Later, the press conference with Putin standing right there. An American reporter asked Trump about Russia's attack on our elections.
Mr. President, you tweeted this morning that it's U.S. foolishness, stupidity, and the Mueller probe that is responsible for the decline in U.S. relations with Russia. Do you hold Russia at all accountable for anything in particular?
Yes, I do. I hold both countries responsible. I think that the United States has been foolish. I think we've all been foolish, and I think we're all to blame. I think that the probe is a disaster for our country. I think it's kept us apart. It's kept us separated. There was no collusion at all. Everybody knows it. People are being brought out to the fore. So far that I know, virtually none of it related to the campaign.
The campaign, that's clearly what gets the president going. Any suggestion that Russia helped him win.
We ran a brilliant campaign, and that's why I'm president.
Then from Putin, asked why Americans should believe him when U.S. intelligence agencies hold him accountable, a classic Putin response.
Who
to believe, who not to believe, he said, and can you believe at all? You can't believe anyone. Where did you get this idea that President Trump trusts me and that I completely trust him? We should be guided by facts, he continued. Can you name a single fact that proves collusion? This is utter nonsense. As for the 12 members of his own government just indicted for attacking the 2016 election, Putin made an offer. Let Russian authorities question them. Special counsel Robert Mueller's team can come watch. We can allow them into the country, Putin said. They will be present at questioning. But he added a condition. Russia must be allowed to interrogate American intelligence agents. The president sounded delighted.
What he did is an incredible offer. He offered to have the people working on the case come and work with their investigators with respect to the 12 people. I think that's an incredible offer. Okay, thank you.
Finally, President Trump was asked to choose. Who does he believe, Putin or his own intelligence agencies?
President Putin denied having anything to do with the election interference in 2016. Every U.S. intelligence agency has concluded that Russia did. Who do you believe?
My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be. So I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today.
And Putin was asked point blank.
President Putin, did you want President Trump to win the election?
Да, я хотел, чтобы он выиграл.
Yes, I did. Yes, Putin said. I wanted him to win because he was talking about the normalization of Russo-American relations. Finally, a question about blackmail.
Does the Russian government have any compromising material on President Trump or his family?
Значит,
Putin brusquely waved off the question by saying only that he personally hasn't known Trump for very long.
каких-то компроматов.
I heard about that we had allegedly collected compromising materials on Mr. Trump when he came to Moscow. Respected colleagues, when Mr. Trump came to Moscow, I didn't even know he was there. As for President Trump, he laughed it all off, but then ended the press conference with a tirade denouncing the FBI agent Peter Strzok, who forcefully defended the collusion investigation before Congress last week.
It was a disgrace to our country, and you would say that was a total witch hunt. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Terry Moran right here with us in Helsinki tonight. And Terry, President Trump and Vladimir Putin, of course, meeting behind closed doors for 2 hours, as we said, with just their translators. Will we ever get a readout of what was said in that room?
No, David, not a formal readout systematically covering the topics discussed. The two leaders did outline what their talks were about, but we won't know the details.
And you know, Terry, a question on how this is really being seen, not just at home, but really around the world. I wanted to show everyone at home tonight. This was the BBC today, and here was the headline. It says, Trump sides with Russia against FBI. What kind of message, Terry, does this send around the world?
The message, David, is that the world needs to adjust to a hard fact of life, that this president has decided to shift American foreign policy decidedly away from the traditional allies, the Western democracies, and get closer to Moscow and the Kremlin. David?
Terry Moran leading us off tonight here in Helsinki. Terry, thank you. In that moment on stage, the president appearing to side with Vladimir Putin over his intelligence agencies back home was stinging for them. The president's own director of national intelligence, Dan Coates, a Republican, had just said about Russia and interference that the warning lights are blinking red. Tonight, many in the intelligence community back home are seeing red. Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas tonight.
It was a stunning rebuke of President Trump's own intelligence community. When pressed with the question, who do you believe when it comes to Russian election interference, the president in that moment appearing to side with Putin.
So I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today.
That denial comes just days after that bombshell indictment from Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation, laying out in great detail how 12 current Russian military officers accused of widespread hacking targeted at least 300 people connected to the Democratic National Committee and Hillary Clinton's campaign. Putin, who has denied attacking the 2016 presidential campaign, had disdain for Hillary Clinton after she spoke out about fair and free elections in Russia. Another stunning detail from Mueller's indictment points to the day Trump said this during the campaign.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
And it was just hours after that request, the indictment alleges conspirators then tried to hack into email accounts used by Clinton's personal office. Republican Trey Gowdy, who famously targeted Hillary Clinton for investigation, made this request to President Trump just before today's summit with Putin.
Your first request of Vladimir Putin needs to be, tell us which airport we can pick up the 25 Russians that tried to interfere with the fundamentals of our democracy.
In the hours before the president's meeting, Hillary Clinton tweeting, "Great World Cup." Question for President Trump as he meets Putin. Do you know which team you play for? But tonight, when Donald Trump appeared to choose Putin over his own intelligence team, the reaction was swift. Today, Trump's own Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, a Republican, releasing a statement saying, "We have been clear in our assessments of Russian meddling in the 2016 election and their ongoing pervasive efforts to undermine our democracy." Coats already saying this regarding ongoing U.S. vulnerabilities.
And I'm here to say the warning lights are blinking red again. Today, the digital infrastructure that serves this country is literally under attack.
And former Obama CIA Director John Brennan, a fierce critic of Trump, tweeting, "The press conference was nothing short of treasonous. Not only were Trump's comments imbecilic, he's wholly in the pocket of Putin. Republican patriots, where are you?"
So let's bring in Pierre Thomas live from Washington tonight. And Pierre, what are your sources inside the intelligence community telling you tonight about what they heard from the president here in Helsinki today?
David, a number of sources said their jaws dropped, that they could not believe that the president would take Putin's word over theirs. And we just heard again from Hillary Clinton. She's now answering that question you just saw in her piece about which team the president plays for. Tonight she sarcastically says, quote, "Now we know, David."
Pierre Thomas live in Washington. Pierre, thank you. The reaction, as you've seen back home, was immediate today, and not just from Democrats. Of the 51 Republicans in the Senate, tonight we've now heard from more than 30 of them already. The list is growing. And on Fox News, many voices sounding alarm too. ABC's chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl with what they're saying tonight.
The president's joint press conference was over for just a matter of minutes when fellow Republicans started pouncing. One of the first, Republican Senator Ben Sasse, releasing a statement saying, quote, "This is bizarre and flat out wrong." And then Senator Jeff Flake.
It was shameful, and I never thought I'd see an American president throw the intelligence community under the bus like that.
And even before the president left Helsinki, the Republican chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee unloaded on him.
The president's comments made us look as a nation more like a pushover.
The top Democrat in the Senate went so far as to suggest that Putin must have something on Trump.
Americans are scratching their head and saying, if that's not the explanation, that Putin has something on it, what is it? What the heck could it be?
Weighing in from Arizona, Senator John McCain called the president's press conference a tragic mistake and, quote, "one of the most disgraceful performances by an American president in memory. No prior president has ever abased himself more abjectly before a tyrant." And then the reaction on the president's favorite cable news channel.
That's what made his performance disgusting. I'm sorry, just the only way I feel. It's not a right or left thing to me, it's just wrong.
In the harshest rebuke from a solid Trump ally, former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich tweeting, "President Trump must clarify his statements in Helsinki on our intelligence system and Putin. It is the most serious mistake of his presidency and must be corrected immediately."
And John Karl with us live tonight as well. And John, we took note here today that after the president and Vladimir Putin were on stage, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who was also here, would not take any questions before heading back to Washington. So what are you hearing tonight from the White House, from the administration, your sources?
The president's senior advisors are keenly aware that this did not go well, David. They are pointing, though, to the president's tweet on the way back to Washington aboard Air Force One, an effort to begin the cleanup process. The president tweeted, "As I said today and many times before, I have great confidence in my intelligence people. However, I recognize that in order to build a brighter future, we cannot exclusively focus on the past. As the world's two largest nuclear powers," he says, "we must get along." David?
John Karl with us live from the White House. John, thanks as always. And one more note on this from back home tonight. The FBI arresting a Russian woman on charges she acted as a Kremlin agent while building relationships with the NRA back in the U.S. 29-year-old Maria Butina, co-founder of a Russian gun rights group, accused of trying to develop relationships with American politicians to establish, quote, back-channel lines of communication. At one point, we're told she met with Donald Trump Jr. at an NRA convention. Butina tonight is denying the charges, which are not part of the special counsel's investigation. We turn to other news tonight and to a new threat from the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii, what's called a lava bomb, sending giant rocks into the air, landing on a tour boat, injuring nearly 24 people. ABC's Will Carr tonight with the stunning images now coming in.
Watch this fiery explosion caught on camera. The ocean next to the Big Island. The blast raining lava bomb.